This right here is currently the strongest team on my account. But today, I'm betting everything I have on Sandrone to beat it. Why? Because she might be the key to make two of my all-time favorite characters feel meta again. The first one is Beidou, and I feel like it should be pretty obvious why that matters to me. She's my main, the pride and joy of my account, and honestly, she was already reason enough for me to pull Sandrone. But the second character has also a special place in my heart. Miko. She was the first 5-star I pulled all the way back when I started playing Genshin. Okay, technically it was Chi-Chi, but that doesn't count. Yae was the first one I actually wanted. At this point, I genuinely can't tell you what convinced me to go for her. If it was her role in the story, the design of her gameplay, or the fact that I'm terribly weak for tall electro mummies who I want to stab on me. Yeah, it probably was that last one. Anyways, as most of you should know, both Beidou and Yae have been pretty far from top meta for a while now. You might even be fair to argue that they have never been, and using them in endgame content has not exactly been easy. However, with Sandrone introducing Stellar Conduct, and with the buffs that came alongside it, both of them might finally have a real team again. But since they are my favorites, I'm not satisfied with just making them usable. No, I want them to take the crown and be the best team on my account. So today I'm committing everything I have to build the best Sandrone team I possibly can. And by the end of this video, we are going to find out one thing. Can Sandrone actually beat my strongest team? But before I can start building Sandrone and the others, we need to talk about what she's actually up against. Because my Nefer team is without a question an absolute powerhouse. This was actually the first time since I started playing Genshin that I properly invested into what people would consider to be a top meta team. And over the past year, I have spent basically every spare drop of resin trying to make it as strong as possible. So for once, you could say I did the responsible thing, which, as you might know if you watch any of my other videos, is not what I usually do. I even picked up Nefer's signature web by paying a lot of money. Yeah, okay, scratch that responsible part. Anyway, this team clocks in at around 162,000 DPS on the target dummy, which is going to be, if I'm honest, a very tough number for Sandrone to beat, considering that she does not yet have a full premium team behind her, unlike Nefer. But I was still determined to give it everything I had to make this possible. First, I of course needed to pull Sandrone, and if you are a regular viewer of mine, you know by now how this goes. Cause my 50-50 luck is, and I cannot stress this enough, cursed beyond comprehension. So naturally, I went in expecting the worst. Fully prepared to lose, fully prepared to add another entry to the endless list of suffering.
I hate self-introductions.
Huh? Well, that was easy? Anyway, with Sandrone in hand, the team basically wrote itself for 3 of the 4 slots. Sandrone, Beidou and Yae, obviously. But the 4th slot went to, and stay with me here, Chi-Chi. Yeah, Chi-Chi. Turns out, the new buffs give her a 50% Stellar Conduct damage bonus, which gives her an actual reason to be on a team like this, instead of what her usual role is of being the sacrificial offering for everyone's pulling rituals. So, with the team put together, it was time to head to the target dummy to get a baseline to see what we are working with. Alright, so let's see how much damage the Sandrone team is dealing right now. I don't expect too much, but it should be decent at least. Okay, let's do Sandrone here. This doesn't seem right. Okay, there has to be something wrong here. This can't be the damage we are actually doing. Am I missing something here? Oh, I know what it is. Oh, okay. I forgot to do the little quests for each of the characters. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, similar to the witch's homework we got for the Hexerei buffs, I need to do some quests before each of them have unlocked the buffs. So, one moment please. Yeah, so it turns out, similar to Hexerei buffs, each of the characters needs a short quest completed before their new kit actually works. So off I went to Fontaine to Barbalow's booth. And honestly, these were some pretty fun little quests. Chi-Chi proves once again that she should be locked up for her own safety. And Yae also proves that she should be locked up, except it's for everyone else's safety. Then finally we have Beidou, who gets tricked by her girlfriend into taking a vacation in Fontaine, which to me sounds more like a punishment. Now with all three of them done, it was time to go back to the target dummy for round 2. Okay, alright, so now that I've completed the Witch's Revelations for each of my characters, I should be good to go to do another test here, and hopefully we get more than 30k now, but I'm confident. Let's see. Okay, I can already tell that this is much better. Okay, and one final round. Okay, that's it. 93k. Okay, this looks much better than before. However, if you remember, my Nefer team did 162k. So I'd say we have a long way to go and a lot of work to do. So the next logical step was to look what can actually be improved. And the answer was, well, unfortunately everything about Sandrone's artifacts. First of all, she was overcapping on crit rate, which is just wasted stats at that point, and she didn't even have a proper crit circlet to begin with. On top of that, Yae was still using her old golden troop set, and getting her to the new artifact set would be a massive improvement. So, artifact farming it was. Except, small problem, I only had 15 fragile resins left on my entire account. Don't ask me where the rest went, seriously don't. But if I wanted to even have a chance at surpassing my Nefer's team DPS, there really wasn't a choice here. So, I decided to spend every last drop of my resin. And here's how that went. Where are you going, Sandrone? Stop it, stop it. Okay, now, let's see what kind of artifact we can get here. I don't have much resin, but I'm hoping get at least something good. Okay, we have a circlet here. Let's see. Crit damage, okay, but unfortunately not crit rate a subset. But I think honestly I might give these crit damage circlets without a crit rate subsets a chance, because I'm simply so much overcapping on crit rate that it could make sense to use those. Oh, well, this one isn't bad either, but unfortunately, wrong set. So, second round, what have we here? Nothing. That's great. Come on. Why? Alright. So, what is it this time? Also only one piece, and it's a flower, and it's complete and utter trash. Wow. Okay. Okay. Not a good start so far. Not a good start. Okay, there's the sands, and okay. That's unfortunate. It's double crit, but HP main stat. Maybe someone can use it in the future, but I'm not too hopeful on that one. Wow, okay. This one is great, but it's the wrong set. Come on. Okay, if the other circlet has the same subsets, I'm happy. Just give me the same subsets. Come on. Yeah, okay. We just don't talk about this one, okay? We just ignore this. Oh my god. Stop giving me the wrong set. I don't even have Nicole. Come on. And the flower is also trash. Okay. Great, great. I love farming artifacts. Come on, game. Give me something decent, please. Just something. Okay, we have at least for the first time 2 on-set pieces. Let them be good. Please, crit damage circlet. Okay. Okay. Maybe this wasn't a good idea after all. I'm starting to doubt that it was a good idea to spend my resin here. Yeah, and since the remaining runs didn't look much different, I'm gonna spare you guys from my descent into pain and despair. However, in the seemingly endless pile of garbage, I did eventually find one piece that ended up being a lifesaver. Defense double crit. Are you serious, game? Oh! This one is nice. Finally. I mean, we already have that one attack sense with double crit and it's a 4-liner. So I think I will use the feathers for that one. But that doesn't mean that this one isn't useful because I can use this one on Yai. And Yai obviously needs this artifact set as well. So this is still a big W. Maybe after having such bad luck with farming the artifacts, this one is the redemption arc. Just roll all in crit damage and I'm happy. I forget what happened when farming the artifacts. We can all get over this. Just game, please give me one decent piece. Come on. Oh! Okay. I take it. This one is nice. I take that one. Alright. Okay, we are so back. Now, even though I managed to secure this amazing sense, I still couldn't make any huge changes to the builds. Luckily, Hoyu introduced the artifact transmitter to the game. And boy oh boy, came it in clutch here. Because the two pieces I crafted were absolute beauties. Now, they only needed to get good rolls. Okay, so hopefully this one is going to be insane. Let's go. Okay. It's not bad, but it's also not great. So, what we want to see here is obviously some decent rolls, but I would prefer it, in this case, not to go into crit rate, but instead into attack percent. Because as it currently stands, we know that Sandrone has way too much crit rate, and the set also gives crit rate, so it's probably overall better, also if I want to use this piece for Yai, to have more attack percent instead of crit rate. But let's see how the rolls. What the hell is this? I mean, I've gotten what I wanted. I've gotten the 2 attack percent rolls, but the other rolls into HP weren't necessary, game. Those weren't necessary. But to be honest, I think this is still a decent piece. Now, even though the rolls didn't turn out insane, Sandrone's build still improved a fair bit. Though, let's be honest, that's less because the new build is incredible, and more because the old one was an actual dumpster fire. She still was overcapping on crit rate, so I decided to also swap her weapon over to Wolf's Gravestone, since it gives a big chunk of attack, and that was simply much more useful here than additional crit rate. Then, with whatever artifacts I had left, I also moved Yai over to her new set. Her crit value technically goes down compared to her golden troop set, but the set bonus itself should be more than enough to make up for it. Okay, time for the next DPS test now with the updated builds. You know, one thing I'm already happy about with Sandrone is that she actually uses her burst and it's not a DPS loss. We had so many characters lately that just don't use the burst, and I think that's a shame. Okay, hey, wow, the damage is actually increasing by a fair bit. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. We are pushing well above 120k. That looks great. Okay, we can cook with this. Obviously, we are still far away from Nefer's DPS, but this gives me hope. Man, if only the artifacts were better. So we were able to get a massive improvement over the earlier test. However, at the same time, I was nowhere near reaching my Nefer's team DPS. So does this mean that the buffs are not enough? Is my Sandrone team simply too weak? And do I have to accept that I won't be able to have my favorite characters as part of a meta team again? Maybe. But I wasn't done yet. I still had one ace up my sleeves. Because I pulled Sandrone's signature weapon. I thought it would be only fair, because my Nefer also has a signature, so to have a fair competition, I needed to even the playing field. And it's not because I have absolutely zero self-control. No, that can't be it. Now, the only problem, upgrading it requires materials from the enemies in the new moon region, which I had not yet unlocked. So, after an hour-long odyssey, where I almost blew up some ancient dragon ruins and crash-landed a spacecraft on the moon, I could finally start farming the actual materials I needed. Except, there weren't enough enemies in my world, unfortunately, so I had to ask my girlfriend to let me hijack her world for the rest of them. Thanks, girlfriend. Love you. With the weapon now fully leveled, I went straight back to the target dummy. And the result of this whole ordeal ended up being a 20k DPS improvement. Which is undoubtedly a huge jump, but as expected, nowhere near enough to completely bridge the gap to my Nefer team. Now, at that point, I kinda had exhausted all of my options. However, I still wanted to see exactly how far I could push this. Even if that meant considering something a little uncomfortable. The idea? Swap beidou out for Escoville. She should perform better in single target scenarios, and she also has her own signature weapon to further buff the team. Now I know how this sounds. This is supposed to be the beidou and Ya revival team, and here I am suggesting to bench beidou. But trust me, as a beidou main, I would never suggest something like that unless I already had bigger plans for her. Subscribe so you don't miss that. Anyway, the Escoville version did show some small improvements, but not as big as you might think. The team was now consistently pushing above 140k. That was obviously still nowhere near what Nefer does. However, I think it's time that I mention that there was one thing bothering me this whole time. While running these tests over and over, I kept noticing something weird. Every so often, the DPS would randomly spike way higher than usual. At first, I figured it was just crit variance, but that didn't really add up since everyone was basically sitting at 100% crit rate at this point. Well, it turns out I had been sabotaging myself this entire time without realizing it. The culprit? Chi-Chi. She's holding Tenacity of the Millilith, which gives the team a 20% attack bonus whenever the holder's elemental skill hits an enemy. This works great with Chi-Chi usually, since her skill hits constantly around her. Except, her skill has quite a small effective range, and Sandrone plays like she wants to be at a comfortable distance the whole fight. Which sounds great until you realize that that means Chi-Chi's skill just isn't reaching the target anymore. Which means for a huge chunk of every single test I had been running, the buff of Tenacity of the Millilith just wasn't active. So obviously, once I realized that, I went straight back to the target dummy and stayed as close as possible. And here's how that went. Okay, let's try this again. This has to work this time. I'm not sure how much improvement it's actually gonna be, but let's find out. Let's find out. Okay, one thing I can already tell, it's super awkward staying this close to the boss, but I'm hoping. Wait, how much damage are we? Yo, 170k. That's crazy. Wait. We actually did it. I can't believe this. Oh my god, the Chi-Chi thing made such a huge difference. We actually made it. I can't believe this. Not by much, but to be honest, I could have played it one better. But yeah, that's it. We've beat my Nefer team. So there you have it. After all that, I was actually able to beat my Nefer team. Now of course, I did have to cut beidou from the final version of the team, which does hurt my soul a little bit, but as you also saw, the beidou version wasn't that far behind. But honestly, in the end, it didn't really matter to me whether I perfectly surpassed Nefer or not. I also really like my Nefer team. It is strong and it also uses characters I genuinely enjoy playing, and that's what's important to me. But what made me happy here was seeing my old favorite characters like Yara and beidou, who, let's be real, felt more often than not like a chore to use in endgame content, become genuinely viable and great picks again. I'm sure with Snezhnaya we will get plenty of new characters that power creep some of these older options, but it doesn't mean I have to replace them all. And it also doesn't mean that the characters we already have still can't be useful. Especially Yara honestly surprised me here. I could actually see her sticking around for quite a while, especially with her C1 and C2 being not that unreasonable to get thanks to the constellation selector. So yeah, I think my bet on Sandrone certainly paid off. She gave me a new strong team, and more importantly, she gave me a reason to be excited about some of my favorite characters again. Now, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of the new character buffs and Sandrone, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!